Welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. Today, we are talking about Survivor 48, Episode 3, Committing to the Bit. I'm one of your co-hosts, Josh Wessler, joined today remotely by Ryan Stacy and Derek Kubicek. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. I have lots of questions though.
Same.
Lots of questions and even fewer answers after that tribal. I was really digging this episode up until that point because we just got to see a lot of messy stuff going on, socially speaking.
We got a historic tribal council and a historically bad player on this season now.
Yes.
Yep. This is an all-timer. I didn't love the episode. I have a couple of problems. And not with tribal council, like, because that's just people playing their game. I didn't like the journey tonight. We'll get into that. But yeah, this is just jaw on the floor, mind-numbingly stupid.
Yeah, we can just get into spoilers and talk about it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we want to bury the lead after a night like tonight. So,
all right, let's get into it.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, 3, 2. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. 1, and we're gonna lose the Pizza Man tonight.
Pizza Man Justin's going out of the game, and it's kind of a bunch of BS that he's out. I feel really bad for him.
And we have to add Justin to that informal list of players who deserve to come back because they were absolutely tossed by a choice that production made.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get to it later, but just a little bit of a tease is an absolute bloodbath in the Survivor pool.
Is it really? Ooh,
we will get to that.
That's really exciting. Yeah, because I honestly couldn't remember who anyone picked except for obviously me because I have the list. So I was wondering, like, did anyone have Justin?
Yeah, I keep a running total or a running like list of us. Listeners, the people that they pick, and then on my Excel sheet I have just like it separated by season. So for season 48, once someone loses, I just highlight it in red, and then everyone else just keeps going down in their respective columns. There's a lot of red highlights tonight.
Ooh, that is exciting! Can't wait to get into that. There's a lot to talk about tonight. Let's do it, huh?
Yep.
Let's jump right in.
All right. So the episode picks up with Vula getting back to camp. We're going to get the fallout of last week when Cedric told Say to play her idol, and it turns out she didn't need to. So Say has lost trust with Justin and Cedric. Fair. Unfortunately, she tells them to their face that she's like, I have lost some trust with you guys. Keep that to yourself. Play it cool. I don't know if Say has the gear to play it cool, but she needs to.
We said it last week. If you're going to be right about this kind of thing, you can be right quietly. Because if you're going to kind of out the situation to everybody there, the reason that Justin and Cedric didn't clue Say in is because they don't fully trust her. She sees it as, oh, I can't fully trust them because she doesn't have, I guess, the social wherewithal in this moment to be like, oh, wait, maybe I'm the problem, or maybe my game is the problem. You need to make corrections and adjust for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing the next morning, Mary is going to go idol hunting because she's in trouble, and Say is going to follow her pretty quickly. Wants to stick with her, wants to babysit her. And later, she's going to try and get the guys up to wake up from their nap to go chase Mary down as well. And the guys are useless, don't do anything. So it's just Mary and Say chasing each other around the island. And it's pretty awesome. And it's great because they're both like, I don't really like her that much, but god dang it, do I respect her.
And I love that we get a quote of, it was really fun playing with Say in this game. And I don't know if Say said the same thing about Mary, but like it was like said in very past tense, like knew that one of them was going to be going home, which makes it even funnier with the result that we get tonight.
Because they're both here for next week.
What's interesting for me from an edit perspective is we're being told, oh, I could never play with her. Oh, I could never play with her. I respect her, but our games are just too different. But Cedric is obviously, going to make a plea. You have to work together. Did we already get foreshadowing that there's absolutely no way they're going to play together and this whole tribe has been firebombed? Or are they going to find a way to eventually work together? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, will these two end up mending bridges and running the game? Something similar happened, I guess, I think it's Big Brother 4, where two people who didn't like each other publicly made a secret alliance, and we're the final two, I believe. Yeah, just a secret alliance nobody knew about, and it's like, oh, these two hate each other. No, yeah, but they're working together. I might be wrong on my season because I'm not a huge Big Brother guy, but I know some of the lore just because reality TV, there's a lot of overlap. But yeah, that is an infamous slash famous winning strategy that's very hard to pull off. Can you work with a frenemy?
Both people have to be all in on it. And in this case, I mean, we don't know how it's going to shake up, but it looks like we are going to be switching tribes next episode. So, and it's probably going to have to be in the post merge if they both make it there.
Unless they both end up on the same tribe, which would be hilarious.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, do they throw each other under the bus, or do they try to take out Siva or Lagi at this point? I mean, because those two tribes got to be itching to reduce the numbers of the other.
Yeah, big time. We're gonna have Logi versus Siva showdown, I'm sure, and one of these two is gonna get decimated. I think the other one's gonna win. So over on Siva, we're gonna get some shading in character-wise for David. He's kind of been this egotistical Chad, as somebody Camilla calls him. But turns out, the guy lives in a trailer parked in front of his dad's house and is in a really bad financial situation. And he's concerned his girlfriend is going to leave him if he can't get his crap together. Okay, this is a turn I was not expecting. It's a very Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the stuntman who lives in the trailer.
Never seen it.
Brad Pitt's character is a stuntman, lives in a trailer.
I would have never made the connection to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but yeah, it's an interesting piece of I guess realism. They were talking about number of kids, how many years they have left to have those kids. It was some depth to his character that I think you enjoy seeing, especially because I believe Camilla referred to us all as being chronically online. That's what we would refer to him as a Chad. So get off of that chronically online ecosystem and talk about how, yeah, if you want 4 kids and you're in your mid-30s, it's kind of hard.
Maybe you should look at something else other than being a stuntman. I don't know. I don't know how much a stuntman pays.
Not enough.
Wanting to have 4 kids is psychotic. I said it. I said it. That is 7 kids too many.
Okay.
Anyway, Mitch and Charity are going to talk, and they want to bring in both Kyle and David into their alliance as they go into the merge because they want to use those two as meat shields. So we're going to get Mitch trying to pitch this to Kyle, and Kyle's open to it. He's like, I love having options. So, yeah, good on both of them. We'll see how that plays out. It's not going to matter today. Good thought processes here. And then over on Logi, Eva is going to make Joe a bracelet because Joe spent some time building a giant bonfire for the tribe, and Eva appreciates that, so she builds him a bracelet to give to his daughters when he gets home. And it makes Thomas and Shaheen really nervous about how close these two are.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this for a second because they have Thomas narrate to us that Shaheen gave him a look. But what's funny is you could see Shaheen's look in the frame of Eva giving Joe the bracelet, and it was like happening right behind. It reminded me of Jeremy giving that goofy look to the camera in Winners at War, where it's like, oh, you're just kind of doing it right in front of him. I gleaned something a little differently from this. I think Shaheen knows that Thomas has a little bit of an edge to him, kind of an itch to play the game as a bit of a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that look is letting him feel heard and understood, and maybe even, played to a little bit like, oh, you see this? This is a little ridiculous. So I can't prove it, but this felt like Shaheen being very aware of what Thomas wanted to see from him in that moment.
I think the most disappointing, I would say, part of this entire interaction, and honestly, the interaction on Siva as well, is that I now feel like none of this is really gonna matter because we're gonna be switching tribes. Yeah, people might pair up with each other, but this is like a conversation that's really about the layers within tribe like Logi. And like, okay, are they going to take out Star, or are they going to, maybe try to break up one of these duos? I can't remember who had the confessional, but someone basically broke down all the alliances and sub-alliances to a T on Logi. But unless all of you make it to the post-merge, like, I feel like not a lot of this is actually going to matter.
We'll see. We will see. Eva knows she doesn't have a very good connection with Star, wants to try and build something there so she's not Star's target. Okay. That's good. She asked Star if she found anything while searching in the jungle. Eva knows the answer that she did, but Star says she didn't, so she knows Star's lying. But then Eva suggests maybe taking out Bianca and Thomas. And Star's immediately going to go tell Bianca and Thomas that Eva said that. So now Bianca and Thomas, they want Eva out. Not great from Eva.
Yeah, I get what Eva was going for here. Just to like try to get information, or like if you're worried about an idol, maybe you can make Star feel safe eventually, if that ends up coming up. But it did really feel just mostly unnecessary. You got plenty of people who it could be like something like a 5-1 vote. So it's I feel like it's just a classic case of doing too much, really, at this point, unless you really do want to work with Star, but it doesn't seem like that's the case.
It's more like it's just too late. Like she should have been having conversations with Star forever ago.
Sure. So I guess maybe because of that, it feels a lot less genuine. And if you just kind of come up to someone, just start talking strategy on day whatever we're on now, and it's out of nowhere, and you bring up the fact that there's an idol and you want to try to switch it up on some people, yeah, my red flags would be up as well.
Yep. Yep. Star sees right through Eva.
So let's talk about this from the perspective of Thomas and Bianca. Given that Star was living on the outside of this alliance, or at best, like kind of a grouping of five, should they take Star at her word here? Should they actually act on helping Star find her idol and then taking over this tribe as a three and hold it over Joe and Shahin? Because to me, I don't think that maybe you should. I think five is a much bigger number than a tentative three.
I tend to agree, and I just play both sides for now until you actually have to make a call.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be a bad move for Thomas and Bianca to jump off of a ship of five people to a tentative of three. You didn't want to work with Star that badly until just now.
We're going to go to the immunity challenge. It's a blindfold challenge. Shahin and Camilla lead their tribes to victory as the callers. It's really a hero challenge with the other people blindfolded. Cedric is going to lose it, sending Vula back to tribal council. But before we do that, we're going to send 3 people off on journeys. Bianca is going to volunteer for Loggy because they won. And they send Justin and Camilla. We do get confirmation from Jeff that you can't send someone who's already been on a journey, which was nice to hear.
Oh, that's good. I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Joe, but I don't remember who. But I want to give, like some props to whoever basically like memorized the path right away at the beginning on Loggy and just like ran straight through. Basically, it seemed like off of memory to the water.
That was Joe.
To just get him off to a good start.
Yep, great performance from Joe. So, Justin's off at the journey. Vula's going to get back to camp, and Mary plays it cool as a cucumber, and she just goes for a swim. She wants to pretend she's got something to freak the others out, and it works. Say is freaking out. It's like, why is Mary not doing anything? We need to split the vote. In case Justin loses his, we need to split one on Mary, one on Justin. And Cedric's like, Mary doesn't have anything.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that shouldn't work. The classic, hey, I'm just gonna, hang out at camp and, accept my defeat. Or I'm gonna hang out at camp and just be relaxing so they think that I already found an idol. Those moves, I feel like shouldn't work in Modern Survivor that much. But then you have to think that they're playing with someone like Say, who really likes to think through all the possibilities and is super strategic and is going to do too much, as we've already seen through 2 episodes.
And Mary points out something really interesting. She's like, I don't know if I'll have time to get an idol. And like with the level of work and effort it takes to get an idol in recent seasons, in the pre-merge especially, she's got a point.
One thing that I'll comment on based on what we've seen, I don't think the second idol would be nearly as preposterous as the first.
We've seen it before that it absolutely is.
We have seen it before. I think more often than not, the second idol has been more simple, and there's only been
maybe slightly, but it doesn't really get really simple till the post merge.
Yeah. And obviously we see Mary play this cool as a cucumber, very much Rupert's rock in the pocket, except, just Mary's version of that is I'm going to go for a swim. Do you think that you guys would do the same thing, knowing that you have someone like Say on the tribe and that time is a constraint? Or do you play it like Devons and run off into the jungle like a madman and like, you will vote me out kicking and screaming, I'm going to play my shot in the dark anyway?
There are situations where both work. They're both valid strategies, and you really just have to have a good read of your tribe.
I think that you already did the second one. You already had the run around the jungle and Say's following you decision, and it didn't work out. So now, take that and do whatever else you can. I think what Ryan said about the whole time aspect of it is a big part, though.
And Cedric's going to tell us that Justin is his number one. He does not want to do the split because that's his number one ally.
Yeah.
It's a good piece. It's a good piece of confirmation because last week we were questioning when Kevin got voted out, who is Cedric's number one? We knew that there was a bond between him and Say after he tipped off Say about the turn of the votes, but we had heard also about the duo of Cedric and Justin. This kind of confirms that at least going into tribal council, they're the duo. They are Malcolm and Denise for all intents and purposes going into tribal. They are the duo coming from Matt Singh.
Yep. So on the journey, it turns out this is a dice rolling game. It's 100% luck. You have to roll 7 dice. If you get 4 flames, you get an extra vote. If you get 4 skulls, you lose your vote. That's fine. Like I don't mind like a chance game being on the journey. Like, okay, you have a choice. Do you want to play this game? It is a complete chance game. It might help you, might hurt you, but it's not a puzzle. Do you take the gamble? That's fine. I have no problem with that. It's the fact that they didn't have a choice. They had to play this game, and I really don't like that. They should have had the choice to back out of this.
Yeah, they've had this a couple of times on journeys where they're forced into it, especially recently. I think everything has been forced in the last season or so. And while in general I don't like it, I'm okay with it when it's more skill based.
Sure.
It's like I have this puzzle that I have to do, or whatever. I don't know. There hasn't really been too much anything physical. It's usually puzzle related. Those are the times where it's like, okay, it's fine. It's fine to not give them a choice because at least they can still perform in a way that they have a little bit of control over. And if it doesn't fit their strengths, that sucks. But yeah, I'm 100% on board with what you're saying, Ryan. Chance time comes up. I want to be able to decide if I want to take part in chance time.
Yep. I would have loved to see maybe like Justin or somebody who didn't want to do this be like, no, I'm not doing it. Just see what happens. What would production do? I'm not doing this.
They wouldn't air it.
Yeah, I would love to. Well, I would love to see how they figure it out. Anyone who's listening who ends up on Survivor, if you don't want to do something like this and they're telling you you got to just see what happens. Just say no. I'm not doing this. This is stupid. Maybe it'll work. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be a breach of contract issue or something.
Well, make them bring that up. Make them bring that up.
And then none of it will air, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine, but it's about your game. It's about you playing on the island. So make them bring that up.
This is just another iteration of punitive challenges. And the tribe that lost, someone who had no control, got sent to an island, lost their vote, and then lost any chance of doing anything in this game because someone made a choice for them. And production made the choice to make the choice to make the choice. What could Pizza Man have done?
Yep.
Nothing. He didn't. No toppings got picked for his pizza.
What's going to end up happening is Bianca and Justin lose their votes. Camilla is going to get an extra vote, and Camilla's going to go back to camp, tell her tribe the truth. She really says, "Hey, this is something we're going to use against Loggy because they're a juggernaut here." Great, love it.
Yeah, there's always suspicion, anyways, when you're on a journey. I'm starting to move closer and closer to just saying, tell the truth almost all the time, because it's so easy to get caught in a lie on these things that, I think this is a great approach from her. 1,
don't go on the journey. 2, tell the truth. 3, play it immediately. Unless you are on the bottom and you're just desperate for a way out, don't go on the journey. Tell the truth. Play it immediately.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, I want the players who are out there to find a way to convince Jeff to stop doing this before I get to play. If enough players piss and moan about the fact that they don't have any agency in all of these stupid advantages that are very, very, very public, it's not fun, it's not useful, and it doesn't make for great TV. I don't see almost anyone who's excited about these journeys except Jeff.
Yep. Don't go on the journeys. Avoid them at all cost. Bianca is going to tell her tribe that she didn't compete. She walked away, but she's going to tell the truth to Thomas that she has lost her vote. And Thomas takes that information and continues to lie to her because he has a vote steal and didn't tell her. It's very funny. Great confessional from Thomas.
It's an interesting approach just because he said that she's his number one. I'm okay with still withholding that information, but if it ever does come out, you might lose a little trust if it takes that long to let her know.
Yeah, you're going to have to say, like, oh, I found this in the woods today or something like that. I don't know.
Thomas has a mischievous bone in his body. I wonder if it's as apparent to his tribe mates as it is to us. Is
Uh,
he doing this in confessional, or is he doing this to everyone?
well, Shahin seems to think so. That
Yeah,
he
I
can, so.
agree.
But does the rest of the tribe know?
Right. And are they acting on it? So what's interesting is with Bianca losing her vote, but Thomas having a vote steal, they still have a way to do their majority three with Star if they want to. It's just something to keep tabs on, even though we have a tribe swap coming up.
Yep. Justin's going to tell his tribe that he won a reward for his tribe, either comfort, shelter, food, or nothing. But they don't get it till the next day, and he doesn't know what he got. Yeah, BS. I thought this lie was just terrible.
What a wild choice. That's like
Yeah,
there are so many options that you can take. And why?
I didn't play. I chose not to play. I wanted to keep my vote, so I didn't play.
So here's a bold thought, or at least a amusing, if you will. If you're Justin, do you come back and say that you got an idol?
No, no. I think he just says like, yeah, I kept my vote. I didn't play. I think that's probably the safe bet.
I bet that someone like Say would really press him on that and ask for like the papers or let
Yeah.
me see it, anything like that. And the second that you say like, no, I'm not going to show you it, I think that it's pretty suspicious.
I don't think you should lie and say you have something when you don't, because people can call that bluff really easily.
I would say that he should talk to Cedric about it. Mary's already on the outs. The only thing you're trying to do is stop Say.
Well, here's what we learn. Justin is not going to fill Cedric in on what he's up to, and then he doesn't have a vote. Because he likes Cedric, but he does not believe Cedric handles strategy very well and gets flustered. So he doesn't want to give anything strategic to Cedric because he's not good at it. Cut to end of episode. Yes.
Abe is like fine wine.
It's gosh, yeah. This episode has its own circular arc. It's
Yep.
The Vula tribe anyway does.
So Cedric is going to tell Justin that Say might throw a vote on him. So the three of them talk, and they're like, we're all going to vote for Mary. But Say is still like, we'll see. We'll see. Say's going to go ask Mary, why aren't you looking for an idol? And Mary's like, when you know it's your time, you know it's your time. And this just makes Say even more paranoid. It's very funny.
Again, perfect person to do it this with.
Yep. This won't work on everybody.
To the bit. Committing to the bit.
So we're going to get the tribal council with a half an hour left of the episode.
Insane. I knew something was coming. Obviously.
Obviously. So, yeah, this is insanity. Mary placed her shot in the dark, and she is safe. And it was 2 votes for Mary, because Justin can't vote. Mary gave up her vote, shot in the dark. So there's only 2 votes. But she is safe. 2 votes for Mary. None of them count. So we're going to re-vote. Can't vote for Mary. Mary's safe. 1 vote for Justin, 1 vote for Say. Whoa, okay. Like, did you... They seem to not realize that Justin didn't vote in the last one. Or there was only 2 votes for Mary.
So yeah, nobody kept track of the fact that Justin didn't have a vote.
This is insane. Well, because I think Jeff even said like, and that's all the votes.
Okay.
And let's talk about this right here. If you're Cedric, who Justin has already said isn't very forward strategically, but if you take someone who's good at counting votes and figuring out what's going on, Cedric should know that Justin doesn't have a vote. Only 2 votes got turned over, and Say has not had an opportunity to lose a vote. So you got to cut Justin at this point. You have no choice now that Mary is safe, because otherwise you're putting a vote on Say, and you can never take that vote back. Mary wrote Say's name down 84 days ago, and they haven't worked together since.
So let's back it up even more. Say should have, I think Say should have gone with the split vote plan and thrown a vote on Justin, just in case. I think I would have been okay with that. But anyway, moving forward, it's shocking to me that Cedric didn't just let Justin go at this point. Like, you've already stepped in to save Say once, might as well just do it again.
Unless unless he knew everything that was going to happen. He knew the rules of Survivor and like knows like, okay, if we go down this path, I'm going to have ultimate decision making power. Jeff has said, not like on the season, I think in like the On Fire podcast, that if you ask, he will tell you, or like production will tell you like the rules of like if this happens like what's going to end up happening. So if Cedric is smart enough, he might ask like, okay, if I split the vote here and then we have to re-vote again after that and it's still split, like I'm going to actually have the power to make the decision. So there could be no harm basically in him throwing his vote on Say if he knows all of that, which is a
That's,
lot.
but let's give him the benefit of the doubt for a second. Let's say he knows that. Okay.
Sure.
So okay, we have a one vote Justin, one vote Say. We revote, deadlocked. One vote Justin, one vote Say, because he knows all the Survivor rules. Okay, fine, but you got to commit to the bit
Yeah.
and vote out Say. So Cedric is going to reveal, hey, my first alliance was with Justin, not you, Say. You were my second alliance. Say points out Justin didn't even tell Cedric that he didn't have a vote. How can you trust this guy?
Also true.
Okay. But then Cedric's like, okay, I will. So basically, we're deadlocked now. Mary doesn't have a vote, and we're tied between Justin and Say. So that means everyone else gets to discuss and eliminate. Unfortunately, that is just Cedric. So Cedric gets to decide who is going home here. For somehow, he's like, okay, Say, I will keep you if you and Mary agree to settle your beef and just get it together. Say agrees, and so Cedric sends Justin out of the game. He voted for Say twice, and then he flips it on its head and sends Justin out of the game. That is one of the worst moves I have ever seen in Survivor.
Yeah, it's if you're gonna commit to the bit. Like you just gotta do it. Cut ties. I don't know. Maybe Say is just that good of a player where she was able to convince Cedric not to do this and made him feel guilty. And like, it's like, okay, well, like this is the only out is if I can get you guys to agree to work together. Forgetting that this is the game of Survivor and literally nothing after Tribal Council matters. Like, this was insanity.
I agree. This if it wasn't pre-merge, I would say that it should be in the running as worst move in Survivor history. I know there are ones with bigger consequences, but everything that you've done leading up to this point says that you are number one with Justin. You targeted Mary, and because of Shot in the Dark, you couldn't get Mary out. Okay, the Mary bridge has been burned, and now you burn the Say bridge twice, and then make some kind of fatherly plea to Mary and Say to bury the hatchet, and they can come together as some magical trio. No, we need to remember Matt saying, Cedric, you and Justin need to move forward together and just understand that Mary is gone. Like, it's a marriage of convenience if it works going forward, but Mary is gone. She's going to cut bait and run. You need to keep your number one that you've never voted for. And are you really mad that he withheld that he lost his vote when y'all were going to tribal council with 4 people and no hardware? I think that's very, very short-sighted on the part of Cedric. One of the least informed moves I've ever seen in my life.
We should do a podcast one of these days. Worst moves in the pre-merge ever. This is in the running.
I agree. I'm sure we will get to that eventually.
Yeah, just wow. Josh, did you do a poll on asking if this was the right move tonight?
I did. Let's see. I have not brought up the results yet.
Because I think we're all in agreement this was wrong. And it's not necessarily because, Justin got sent out of the game. It's because he didn't commit. He flip-flopped. I think that's the big sin here. Just commit.
Yeah. This is the wrong move. And I'll even go back one step further and say, like, Ryan, I think it was good for Say to vote for Mary. I think that she would continue to bury herself if she were to throw a hinky vote on Justin, but Mary somehow goes home. Then she definitively loses the game at that point. So, like, I think everything that happened was supposed to happen, except Cedric didn't keep track of the votes and maybe could have voted out Justin and kept Say if he wanted, but clearly Justin was his number one. At that point, send Say home.
Yeah, and according to the polls that we put out on social media, about 72% of people said that no. No, this was wrong.
Okay,
So that's not enough, by the way. But
that's
at
this
least
should
it's
be
majority.
100%. This should be 100%. Unless Say is voting in our poll, this should be
Yeah.
100%.
I was
Uh,
going to say 99% and say voted.
and I
Yes.
will mention this. We did get one reply on there from Roman. Roman says absolutely, and it says absolutely keep the mess and take out the background noise.
Okay, so he's voting on entertainment. I can understand that. That's not really the purpose of our poll, but okay, fine. Like
That's all right.
that's a fair justification. The only justification I could hear.
If
That was the Ryan Stacy reason. Like, no, this show is on TV for me. Like this is for me, my entertainment. This is
uh,
why I'm here.
it probably makes a little bit more sense that this person does not follow us, so they probably just saw this poll as like, yeah, of course it is.
Hashtag yes.
Hashtag mess.
Yeah.
Wow. Look, all I can say is wow. I think I wrote in my notes like 6 times WTF.
And I was messaging you guys, wowza, what's gonna happen? Oh, is she gonna be safe from her shot in the dark? What happens then? I could never have predicted that it was gonna be this chaotic and this I mean, he's a surgeon. Obviously he's a smart dude. This was dumb. This was dumb.
He
This
may be
was just dumb.
medically smart, but he's not survivor smart.
If you're going for the $1 million, this was dumb. It really
Yep.
depends on your motives here.
All right, let's get into best and worst player. Josh, start us off. Who is your best player of the episode?
I don't know. I, I really don't know. I had it blank because I couldn't figure this out, and I was really hoping that I would come to a decision while talking through it here. Uh, so I don't I didn't have someone. Honestly, I kind of want to give some props to Say for being able to convince Cedric, even though she did such a bad job basically gauging whether or not Mary had an idol or not. I'm going to toss some recognition towards Mary here, just because I think she picked the right strategy for the people that she was with. The strategy of sitting out in the water, acting like everything's okay. That might not work with most tribes, because they might just see it as like, oh yeah, like they're just doing that on purpose. When you have someone who's going to overthink about it and over strategize, like Say, it might actually end up working. She made the no-brainer move of playing her shot in the dark. It worked. It got me to jump off the couch and say,
Me
"Yeah!"
too. Me
So you
too.
know, I'll give it to her because of that.
Yeah, I agree. I also had Mary. She played the right strategy and played the shot in the dark. She might be the person I'm rooting for most to win now. She's really like, I've liked Mary this whole time, but now it's like, man, I want you to pull this off. So, Mary.
If you care, I feel like this happens about once a season. But it seems like Mary is mother on social media. So do with that information as you will. Mother Mary.
No, let's not do these things. It's weird.
So I'm gonna go in a different direction for best. I'm gonna land on Kyle just because his social bond. Well, for two reasons really. When David was talking to him about living in a trailer in his dad's front yard, Kyle was very much like, "Hey, that's awesome." He's a very uplifting person. I think that this is something where it's hard to edit the social game, but if you take one of those more vulnerable moments that can be seen as a like, "Oh man, that stinks," or "Oh man, what's your plan?" But it was actually like, hey, that's awesome. I think that kind of social wherewithal goes a long way, especially if people are grouchy and grumpy. Then we saw him have a good enough social connection with Mitch, and Mitch and Charity he ends up to the point where he ends up getting the meat shield option with Mitch and Charity. He still has the four-person alliance going with David and Camilla. He still has his idol. So I really like the position that Kyle finds himself in, coming into a swap, moving closer to a merge. And I'll give an honorable mention to Mary, but the reason I didn't give it to her is that even though it did work, Say still voted for Mary. If Say would have voted for Justin, it would have been Mary hands down. But that didn't happen.
Okay.
That's fair.
For worst player, I think it's hands down Cedric. He lost his tribe. So there's all the obvious stuff at Tribal Council. One of the worst Tribal Council decisions of all time. But also, we can't forget, he was the caller in the immunity challenge, and he blew it for his tribe. So Cedric.
Yeah, no, it's Cedric. I mean, just watch the episode. Cedric, big fan of the podcast. Commit to the bit.
It was
Oh,
all there right in front of him, and he's just like, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna do that. Of course it's Cedric.
this is the meme of the guy like sweating and deciding which button to push, and it's like guaranteed twosome with my number one ally moving in to a deeper part of the game, or most fractured three-person remaining tribe of all time. And oh, what do I do?
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed we're getting a swap. I'd love to see what would happen next with these three. Let's get into who's going next. Since we have a swap coming up, we're each only going to pick one person just because we don't know what it's going to end up being. Derek, who is going next?
I'm actually voting kind of for a bit of an armistice right here. I think Say will go next because I think she rubs people the wrong way. And her day one strategy of kind of bully balling people into an alliance isn't going to work if you get swapped onto any kind of tribe of people who are like, hey, you know what? Let's just get through this production nonsense. This is a safe vote. This is an easy vote. And I don't really like how she plays. And she gives off this kind of frenetic energy that I don't want to. I mean, maybe she could rock with like Thomas, but almost everybody else I think would be like, this is a bit too much for me. So I'm gonna go with Say.
Josh?
I wanted to go say, and I think that that's a perfectly plausible conclusion to come to. I do think that there's gonna be some battling between the two perfect tribes right now. Who knows who it's gonna be? I'm just gonna pick the biggest dude out here that can be taken down as a threat, and I'll go with David.
Okay. I think it's going to be a war between Logi and Siga as well, or Shiva. And I think Logi's going to lose because I think they're seen as the bigger, stronger, more tight tribe. And so who could go out of that group? Bianca doesn't have a vote. Bianca might be a safe pick. So I'm going to say Bianca goes next.
If you guys are okay, can I make just a bold prediction? It's not my real prediction, but just a bold one.
Go.
Yes.
Eva and Joe are going to get split up. Eva's going to end up getting taken out by Thomas's tomfoolery, and we are going to kick off the revenge arc.
Oh,
Okay.
if Joe can win this game, I think that's how it would have to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Eva might need to go for Joe to win. And he can't cut her. But if she gets taken out in the swap or through a twist at some point coming up, yeah, that might be the best thing for Joe. We'll see.
So there's my dark horse prediction. I just wanted to share
All
it.
right.
All right, let's get into who cannot win this game. Josh, where you at? I think we were all on Say last week. Has anyone changed?
No.
So,
I understand. I get what you're gonna do,
yeah.
but no.
Yeah, so this is a time where I wish we could do two people. Because, to borrow a colloquialism from Derek, I want to put a fork in some people tonight. I know this is Derek's segment, but I just need to make this point clear. Say and Cedric both have forks. They're done. Neither of them can win. And, in a final two, who wins between those two? Hard to say, because Cedric clearly has the better social game. Say clearly has the better strategic game. But I'm just so kind of disgusted with Cedric after this vote. I'm gonna put him at he can't win, out like almost as punishment. Like, no, you deserve this. And I may very much change it back to say next episode. But I mean, just because this was so bad, at least for a week, I'm putting Cedric down here. But neither of them can win.
Out of principle.
Out of principle, yeah.
So for whatever it's worth, Ryan, for the entertainment factor alone, I think it's funny that we've ironed out the who can't win rules and that I can still do stick a fork and feel good about myself. Because yeah, I think that putting Cedric here as sort of a punitive, how dare you? This is insulting to my eyes. It's insulting to the time I've invested into the strategy of this show and the fact that they cast you. And this is what you do it in the pre-merge. I'm gonna keep my who can't win at say, but I will just go ahead right now and say that I have also stuck a fork in Cedric. There's absolutely no way. Um,
It's
between
so
a
bad.
between a final two, I think Say does beat Cedric, and I think it would be because Cedric would tell them to give her the money because he's a doctor and doesn't need
Mm,
it as badly.
okay.
But I don't think either of them are winning. I'm sticking a fork in both of them.
So now for the moment of truth, this is something I've been waiting the whole podcast for. Josh, give us the update. What is going on with the survivor pool?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it is a bloodbath out here. And so for the people who remember from last week, Ryan's pick was Kyle, Derek's pick was Cedric, and Josh's pick was Justin.
Oh no, Josh is done. Heck and rip.
And I completely forgot about that until like I don't know, like 30 seconds like after Cedric said, "I'm gonna keep her." I'm like, "Oh, what is go first of all, what is going on?" Like my mind is exploding because this is just so ridiculous. And then it sunk in a little bit. I'm like, wait a second, I picked Justin. No.
So Josh is eliminated from the survivor pool. Rip
Yeah.
in peace.
Yep, and it tied for my worst finish. But that was only because of Randon being medically evacuated or
Yep.
whatever ended up happening there. Which I will forever put an asterisk next to. So, but this one is for real.
Yep.
Uh,
Is that tied with worst performance for any of us three with me with Naka, I think.
no, Derek. You
Was
had Helen. Let's not forget that.
Oh,
That was in episode 2.
that's right. And then
Literally could
totally
not
undeserved.
literally could not do any worse.
Fair enough. Fair
Uh,
enough. Okay, I'm glad to have that record at
Yeah.
least.
So after I, had processed the fact that I had just become a failure and lost in the survivor pool, I'm like, I remember like writing down Justin for a lot of people. I check my sheet, and that is the case. So let's go to the graveyard, huh?
Who's in the
Uh,
graveyard?
so we lost. First of all, we lost Ella from Spotify. Not because she picked Justin, but because she did not get a response in. The only listener to do that, but it happened. So rest in peace, Ella. Uh, we lost David, who would pick Justin. We lost Avery, and we lost Vo.
Okay.
Rest
Wow.
in peace. So we lost
Uh,
4 listeners today, and myself.
all right, guys. Well, thanks for playing. Hope to see you again next season. But yeah, Derek and I we're still alive, and there are other listeners still playing? I'm assuming.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep.
So the rest of us keep going strong, and hopefully I'll win.
We'll see. But now I guess you and we got to make some picks now.
Yep. I'll go first. So we're going into tribe swap. Who the hell knows? This is a crapshoot. I wanted to go with someone who had an advantage. So that is Mitch and Thomas. And I'm just like, I think Alagi's gonna go home here, so I'm gonna go with Mitch as my pick.
Interesting. I really, 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 really want to be done with Vula as soon as possible. So I'm going fairly risky. I'm picking Mary.
Okay.
I am rounding out the Vula tribe. I have oolonged them right out of my survivor pool picks. Um,
Respect.
Understandable.
and weirdly enough, because of the tribe swap, this might be the only time for the rest of the game that we can pick Mary, or that I can feel okay in picking Mary, barring an idol.
Yep, understandable. I get if there were no advantages in the game right now, Mary might be my pick as well. But I'm just like, you know what, going as safe as I can possibly go.
Oh, it's wild. I was like, I wrote down Kyle first because I'm like, I haven't used it yet. But I'm like, maybe like if Kyle makes merge, that might be a really good time to use that one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I might lose.
All right, well, I'm excited to see what happens. This is great. Love a good bloodbath. We haven't had one of those in a while. Okay. I think that's it for tonight, guys. Anything else?
Well, one thing that I would want to do, so for those of you who are out on the survivor pool pick, and those of you who are still in, I want to try and get on these current seasons the listeners more involved with just a gameplay question based on the episode that we saw that week. So this week, in a vacuum, if you are dropped into Mary's spot and Vula loses immunity, do you play it cool like Mary, or are you scrambling like Devins? I would love for you to take 30 seconds right now, open Spotify or social media or whatever, and let us know, would you play it cool as a cucumber, or would you scramble for your life and find a way to make it work and go down kicking and screaming? So that's my call to action for this week, and that's my shout out for Spotify. Thanks for listening and thanks for playing.
Yeah, and after you're done doing that, you can go follow us on social media. Most of the stuff is Castaway Pod, but if you do want to watch some videos, Facebook and YouTube are great for that, which is Castaway Consultants. We had some, I know I mentioned it last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, but little technical difficulties on the video side, and it's not really appearing the way that we want it to with Spotify. Shocker, an audio first platform isn't able to, program video into it very well. Maybe you should just go to YouTube if you want to watch the videos, but so the video is not going to be posted, at least for now, on Spotify. We might pick it back up if it seems like they fixed out if they fixed their bugs, but we'll see. But for right now, we're gonna stick to just audio only on Spotify.
Yep. That sounds good to me. All right, wild night, wild night. I'm really excited to see how this breaks down. This is going to be fun. On that note, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.